Welcome back to the Steep Stuff Podcast. I'm your host, James Lariello, and today I'm so excited to welcome David Sinclair back on the pod. David has had an absolutely crazy season. He came on to talk all about it, not just the second place at CCC, but also helped Team USA achieve a fourth overall standing at the World Mountain Running Championship. On top of that, David had a fifth place finish at the Broken Arrow Ascent and a second place at the Broken Arrow 46K in 2025, which got him on Team USA. On top of that, David has had an absolute crazy year, won the Loon Mountain Race, and also had a third place at the Mount Washington Road Race, amongst many other finishes. David came on to chat all about his season, and we really dove deeply, I think, this time more into CCC. We did break down Broken Arrow a little bit. David had kind of been dealing with some injury and was able to kind of pull off that Broken Arrow finish, which I think was one of the most craziest awesome things that he was able to do all season. But yeah, a lot of this conversation was surrounded around his CCC and what he did to get himself on that podium and just, had himself a great finish on the day. So guys, I hope you enjoy this one. Always a fan of David Sinclair, one of the best mountain runners on the planet right now. We also did talk a little bit about training. We got into some heart rate related stuff. I think it was kind of fun. Some good stuff you guys are going to take away from it. So without further ado, David Sinclair.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
David Sinclair, welcome back to the Steep Stuff Podcast. How's it going, man?
It's going really well. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Excited to catch back up with you. The last time we chatted, I think we talked just before Broken Arrow. I was trying to get you on for it was right after Mount Wash and just before Broken Arrow. And I know you were dealing with some, I know there was a lot of up in the air. You weren't sure if you were going to race, and then you did it, and you had yourself a day, and it's qualified for Worlds. And it's been just a kind of a crazy thing to follow. How would you grade your season with everything? How would you, if you were to put it on a grade scale, what do you think? Because to all of us watching, it's been amazing to follow.
Oh yeah, I think I'd give myself an A. It's been definitely not how I expected it to go. Some ups and downs, but yeah, I can't complain. I definitely exceeded my goals with the second place at CCC, and yeah, it was a little rough in the spring with some patellar tendonitis, and I was a little worried for a bit there that maybe the whole season was going to be shot, and was able to cross train through it, and yeah, I think it ended up maybe being a blessing in disguise for the rest of my year, having that little setback.
So crazy. It's weird, man. I don't know, maybe you can provide some commentary to this. It's us in the States always knew you to be one of the best talents we've had, come onto the trail running scene. But now that you're able to do it at CCC and kind of show the world, has things changed for you? Have things changed at all?
Definitely feels like a little bit different. At least when I talk to other people, I don't feel like my result at CCC was I kind of believed in myself and don't see it as being that much bigger of a result than some other races I've had in the US. So, but definitely realizing wow, a lot of people were watching and a lot of people noticed that result has been definitely eye-opening and pretty cool to, see people recognizing that performance as a really good day.
Oh, it was an amazing day. We'll get into it. We'll dive into it in a little bit. But yeah, I was going to give you your flowers just because not only just what a result, but we all knew, we all kind of figured he was either going to be you or Eli or kind of that dynamic. And we'll talk about that as well. It's kind of a fun dynamic between you guys. How are you feeling post Worlds? That was kind of a fun little trip for you. How you doing as far as recovery goes?
I'm feeling really good again. I'm a little bittersweet on the performance because I felt like I recovered really well from CCC and had a little good block of training, and then just that it was such a stacked field and such a hard course that I was a little humbled over there, but I don't think I had a great day, and I'm back and I'm still motivated and jump right back into training here in Vermont. So yeah, I was hoping for a top 10, and it was still fun to mix it up with the other US guys, and we came close but ended up just off the podium as a team. But yeah, it was an incredible experience. So fun to be part of like Team USA, and it was my first time at Worlds where we had all four different disciplines and like this huge crew and just so much energy. So I'm yeah, just honored to have gotten to go over there and experience it.
Dude, I was laughing so hard. Like, I guess, did you travel over there with Tom Hooper and Paul?
Yeah, I was on the little like the with the coaches from the East Coast, and we went to the airport at Boston, and we were supposed to have a red eye at 11 o'clock at night, and at 11 o'clock at night they said, oh, they're going to delay us 2 hours, and at 1 a.m. they said 2 more hours, and then at 3 a.m. they said the flight's canceled, go home. So I was already cutting it a little bit close on travel, just because I knew like 2 trips to Europe was going to be, I didn't want to like be over there too long and away from home too long, and yeah, no sleep in the airport, and then having to catch red eye the next night, getting to Spain a day late. I think maybe just in retrospect, I should have gone over a little earlier and had some time to like check out that course, because it was like 45K and 12,000 feet of vert, really techy, and just yeah, it was definitely not fully adjusted to the time zone, and got kind of just destroyed my legs on the first climb and descent, and then had a rough next 2 hours in the race over there.
Oh, wow. You were, I mean, I read your Instagram write up and you were pretty candid about it. Like you said you were able to you hit like a pretty low and were able to kind of like pull it back together. Would you agree with that, or?
Yeah, it was like a really interesting day just because I went out and it was a huge pack on the first climb, and I could just feel like I was like within contention, but I felt like I was just like didn't feel comfortable, was working kind of hard. I paired up with a Noah Williams, and we tried to work together over the top and on the descent, and then we were probably like in around 20th place after the first climb and descent, and then he kind of like took off in the next climb, and I just had dead legs, and then next thing I knew, 12 people had passed me on the next climb, and it was like I just had no fight and no pop in my legs. I was like, well, this isn't where I want to be. Got really like mentally down, and then just kind of like I tried to keep pushing, but wasn't going the wrong way. And then get to the second aid station. It's like there's still 2 hours or so left, and I realized I was still like the third guy for the U.S. team, so every place and every second was going to count. So I just like kept pounded a couple gels and decided to like to try to work my way back up one place at a time, and had a really good like last two descents and last final climb, and yeah, I was able to go from about, I think I worked my way down to 30th and then ended back in 19th. So it was like if I could have like just had a little bit better the next like the middle 2 hours was where I lost all the time, and I think on a good day it could have been top 10 and we would have been right in the medal hunt for the US. So but yeah, that it's just like a different type of racing. It was a real sky race, so you could see the runners on the podium really specialize in sky running and kind of made it their A goal for the whole season. So yeah, you live and you learn, and next time you gotta really target that world championship race if you want to deliver on the day.
I feel like we'll figure it out in 2027. It's going to be a much different course too, because South Africa is just so different. And with it being in November, I think it'll be better for just everybody, especially the Americans. Like as long as people aren't too pooped out from the summer, I think there's ample time for recovery, and it'll just be kind of a different game. I gotta ask you this, especially for someone like you who is so comfortable being at the front of a race, not afraid to take it out hard, not afraid to lead a race. Was it weird being back a little bit? Like, how did you fight back like the negative self-talk and like getting behind? Like, were you able to pull it together? Were you in like a really, really low, like that you hadn't experienced before? Like, how were you able to kind of fight through that?
I mean, it's just, yeah, it's hard. Like I've had a good year, so I think I'm getting a little more used to like not being afraid to mix it up and put myself at the front. So like when the pace just went out really hot, even on like the first mile, it's like a downhill on a road, and you realize we start climbing, and there's 30, 40 guys all like vying for position as you start climbing on single track. And yeah, you just kind of have to accept that I knew it was going to be be a really difficult race and really deep field. But definitely like I'm used to like being chill at the race and the first climb and first ascent, and then I'm used to like when I race smart, then all of a sudden like it starts to feel a little effortless and you're picking people off like on the second climb. And so to have it go the wrong way, and all of a sudden on the second climb, like I was just getting past, and I was like trying to push, but yeah, just didn't feel like I had that mental energy to really like dig deep, or the legs to be going the way I wanted to. It was pretty hard mentally. So I think I got to give credit to like just the fans, the coaches, and then just like that, you're representing the US. So you like the whole country is kind of depending on you. And I knew I was in third place for the US team, and the top three scored. So I just kind of told myself to like, even if it's not where you want to be, you just got to like, try to stay mentally engaged, and you just keep trying. And then, yeah, I don't know if it was a time change or whatever, but it was like all of a sudden, like something clicked, and I felt like I woke up, and then it was actually really fun the last 2 hours or so, because I was all of a sudden like picking people off and, flying by them. Like I was kind of hoping to be doing the whole last, like 30K of the race.
It's crazy. Dude, I thank you for being candid about it. I appreciate it. Outside of the race itself, the experience, like getting, having the roommate experience, and then also the food and everything, like what was your takeaway from that? Like A+, like was it a good venue? Like what did you think? Especially because like this is not the first time you've competed for Team USA.
Yeah, it was like completely different experience compared to the last two times I was on like a trail running worlds team, because I hadn't been since 2019 in Argentina, and so I hadn't had all four disciplines. So we had way more support from staff. It just felt like there was so much more media and so many more eyes on it, where in the past it had kind of been like, oh, it's technically the world championships, but everyone kind of knew like not necessarily all the best runners were targeting on it, but it felt like almost all the elite runners were there and giving a shot. So I just felt like way bigger, and yeah, so much positive energy. Yeah, like the US staff was so supportive and incredible, and yeah, hanging out with all these other like US team members. And sometimes you're at races and you're like with the same guys, and they're like the competition there. So it was really fun to be like, oh, we're all teammates now, and yeah, working together. Got to know them a little bit better. It was really fun. Yeah, I got to room with Seth, so we had a good time.
Sweet. Hi, the boy. Your boy. Dude, I got to ask you this. So doing the USA Skimo kind of on the World Cup circuit, I guess a little bit last winter, and then kind of comparing it to maybe this experience for USA mountain running, how would you compare it? Like, obviously it's a completely different experience, but is it just way more put together on the Skimo side because now it's an Olympic sport? Like, how would you kind of square those two?
I guess I don't know exactly what you're asking, but they feel pretty comparable.
Yeah.
Like in some ways, like the media side trail running has just gotten so big that it feels like I was at the ski mountaineering world championships, and like the athletes aren't incredible and the level's so high, but it honestly feels like right now like trail running maybe has more momentum.
Really? That's what I was kind of asking. Like, do you like more so along the lines, like, has trail running really caught up in the sense, like, it seems like for this world's, a lot of folks, like specifically like the Spanish team, the Italian team, the French team, like really made it their, like those out, they take it quite seriously. But it seems like the USA has been doing really well, but also just on a world stage, the sport itself seems to have like really caught up and competes against some of those other, maybe just like on a big stage, if you will, where it's a little bit different. Maybe it hasn't been in previous years.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and it felt definitely like on the same level with the like the caliber of athletes and how seriously they're pretty much all the top skimo athletes are pretty much training full time for skimo now, and same thing with these trail runners that are targeting, like they're dialed to like picking their discipline, and kind of like a lot of them were training all summer just to prepare for like the specific course at the World Championships. And I think it's really cool to see that the level has just gotten so incredibly deep between all four of those disciplines.
Interesting. Are you going to, it seems like, I know Cam and company seems to have like, are starting to transition back to the skimo stuff. I know you and I were talking before offline. You said Vermont's still a little warm. Hopefully you guys start getting some fall weather soon. Is the like kind of the goal for winter going to be to transition back to skimo, or is it going to be more full-time trail running? Like, what are you going to be doing?
Yeah, so right now I'm just realizing that like the trail running's been really fun. I've had a good season, so like I can kind of call myself a professional trail runner, and I love skimo, and it's part of like I'm passionate about it. But right now for me, I think like trail running is maybe the the bigger focus. That doesn't mean I won't be going over to Europe and doing some skimo World Cups. But I'm going to be targeting like skimo races more in March. I decided not to keep chasing like the Olympic dreams because it's like just the short events, and I have not been putting in the work this summer to prepare for like the short disciplines and transitions and all that. And yeah, I'm not that excited or motivated right now to like start doing 4 hours a day of skimo transition training in the yard. But I definitely want to get over there. I'm going to team up with Cam Smith. We're going to do Pyramenta, like the 4-day partner race, and
So
I'll
cool.
do a few like individual World Cups in March. So I've got a little more time to get ready for skimo, and I think I'm going to like structure my season around doing that in March, and then kind of easing back into running, and hopefully do a big build for Western States.
Okay. Oh wow, dude, Western States is going to be it next year. That's exciting. That's
Yeah, so
that's the. I mean, you obviously got a golden ticket before back at Canyons a few years back, but this is it. You're going to do it, which is really exciting. Are you super stoked for it, especially having like lived not too far from there in California?
yeah, it's really cool just because I spent the like 5 winters out there, and the Western States Trail was in my backyard. And yeah, when I got that first golden ticket back in 2022, it was just such a quick turnaround, and it was my first 100K, and I just like wasn't totally sure that I wanted to or was going to be ready to run 100 miles. So now like it's been a few more years. I've been like following along, spent some more time training on the course, and just so excited to go back. Definitely nervous about it's another jump in distance, and the course and the heat will be like a totally different from a lot of the races I've done well on. So it's going to be a huge challenge, but yeah, I'm really excited for it.
I think where you live too is actually like not a bad place to train for it. Like just speaking Vermont in general, like endless dirt roads, you can get a decent amount of vertical like up down on those dirt roads as well. The only thing you have to square away is just a lot of time in the sauna. But outside of that, I think it's not a bad place at all to train, get ready for it.
Yeah, like the rolling steep dirt roads actually like plus plenty of trail, like ski areas and stuff. If you want to get really steep, there's plenty. Like I think it's very underrated. We have some of the best like training for any kind of trail running in the world right here. The biggest part will be just getting ready for the heat, because Vermont doesn't get the same kind of heat, and especially like in the spring it can still be a little cold for a while. But yeah, we got access to a sauna, and I got to think about it a little bit more. But maybe like a little targeted trip out sometime in the spring to like see the course or do a little more like Western training in the heat is definitely in the cards.
For sure. Let's get into that a little bit at East Coast, because I don't know. I'm so happy that like, we've got yourself, Eric LaPuma, Dan Kurtz. Like there's a good lineup, and Lauren Gregory, although I think she's a Boulder right now, but at least there's like a decent little contingent of Northeast trail runners at the professional level to put more, just to continue to put the Northeast on the map. Like I think there's just such a good diversity of races there. There's such a good diversity of training grounds. And I feel like you this year really just put it on the map, especially with the CCC performance and showing more people who you are and where you're from. Maybe talk a little bit about the East Coast and just like why it's special to you, why it's good training grounds, and more of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud, and I like training here. It's where I grew up, and kind of like I owe the athlete that I am today to growing up here with cross country skiing in the winters, and we did a lot of our cross training and in the summer to get ready for ski season on the long trail or the Appalachian Trail, and just like running the super gnarly, steep, technical, rooty, often muddy trails here. So I think it really does like if you can train here and like you're up here, you can excel on any course. So yeah, I think like in the pro running ranks in the US right now, like there's a lot of people that think like, oh, you gotta live out west and you gotta be at altitude, especially because a lot of more of the like high profile races are at altitude. And I think maybe for some athletes it helps a little bit to be training at altitude, but absolutely you don't need to be like training in Boulder or somewhere at altitude to succeed. So it's been pretty fun to move back here and back to my roots and show that you can still keep competing at the highest level training on the East Coast.
When you can be as candid about this as you want. I'm just out of pure curiosity because I do feel like as an athlete in the sport, there is a bit of a brand bias with folks that either live Front Range, Colorado or in California or more so in the Pacific Northwest. Whereas I feel like less athletes get opportunities in the Northeast for some reason. I don't know what that is, but did you experience any of that when you were looking for a contract?
I haven't had any issue, but I definitely think there are like a lot of incredible athletes in the East, and especially that are like really good at like specifically like East Coast, like super gnarly technical trail running, and maybe they don't have the same like web speed for flat running. That absolutely, like if we had a few more high profile races here, you'd see them like, outperforming some of the guys and women with contracts. So yeah, I definitely think the East Coast could get a little more credit.
Yeah, I'm excited because I mean, now that the Cirque Series is at least on the short trail side, it seems like it's like you could do a whole season short trail in the Northeast between Mount Washington. Now there's Cirque Series races. You've got quite a few with the Air Viper races and just other things. Like there's even Loon. Like Loon on a good year is super competitive. You won it this year and have raced it in the past. Like there's quite a few good Northeast races that I think are just like short trail wise, they're very slept on.
Definitely. Yeah. There's tons of good races here, and they don't maybe get quite as much media coverage, but they're very challenging. And I use a lot of them this year to like as kind of like test and just fitness builders in my build up for CCC, and it worked really well.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I was surprised to see you do Mount Washington. You think you go back and do that? Maybe, obviously next year is going to be different because that's right in the mix of Western states. But in the future, I mean, would you go back and do it, especially like more full course and not short course?
Yeah, it was my second time running Mount Washington. The first year, I just had a really bad race. So I was like just excited to give it another shot. So it was a little bit of a bummer that I shortened it to half distance, although that ended up being really good prep for Broken Arrow the next week. But I definitely want to run the full course on like a good weather year and see if I can get close to like 1 hour, like kind of mythical mark up the auto road climb.
It's true. It's such a cool course too. Like I'm going to try to get in next year. Definitely want to do it one of these years at least. I want to try and like pair it with a Cirque Series race so I can like do back-to-back weeks of racing while I'm out there. And I think that would be kind of neat. Dude, let's shift gears. Let's get into CCC. The first question I have for you outside of the performance and the race itself is like, now that you are like a professional in the sport and like you're doing your thing, is it still fun for you? Has anything changed? Is it different now being a professional, or do you still love it?
I still love it. Yeah. I think, it's like, it's definitely a little different doing it full time, but like, honestly, it's really awesome right now that I have the flexibility to like, work on recovery and have as much time as I need. So I'm just, running skiing full time right now. And it's been a relief to be like, I don't really need to like have a second full-time job. So it's allowing me to do all the little things, like make sure I'm getting in the gym, doing heat training, doing mobility and yoga, like taking a nap if I'm doing doubles. And like those little things definitely add up. So it's been fun to see how it goes. And right now it's working well. So like when it's going well, it's really, really fun. Like when you get a little injured or like you're not getting the results you want, then all of a sudden you're like, wow, it's really tough being a pro runner. So I can't complain right now because I'm feeling pretty strong, and my results have been good. So
I like it.
It's fun. I try to like keep some balance in the training where like it was a little bit of a grind in the build up to CCC because I had to be really careful building mileage with the like coming off patellar tendonitis. So it was a lot of just like grinding hours on the road bike just because that was lower impact. And then like some really targeted, like I'd go to the local ski area, Mount Ellen, and just be running laps on the work road because I knew that was what was going to simulate and prepare me for CCC the best. So like, I don't want to be doing that all the time, but for like 2 months in my build up to a CCC where it was like, I was feeling some pressure, but it was a good challenge. I like the challenge of like figuring out how to like pick a race and how to, be smart about preparing for it. But I also like some variety. So it's been fun like the last month or so since CCC to have a little more flexibility in training and just be like going exploring the the local trails and yeah, having fun in the East Coast mountains. We've had the super dry, like incredible stretch of weather, and it's been like we're definitely in a drought right now, so that's not good. But in terms of like trail running, like the trails are all dry and fast, and yeah, it's been just a lot of beautiful days. So I've been just yeah, loving being a pro runner and just going out and yeah, training a bunch and
Doing
enjoying the Vermont mountains.
doing the thing. I love it. Do you go up Mansfield at all? Like, is that far from you? Or I
It's
went up
only
there.
like 40 minutes, so I need to get up there more often.
It's a sweet mountain. I did it for the first time this past summer, and I was like, wow. Like, I just did the service road climb to, I guess, that like branch off trail above, below the, or I guess above the lift, and then took like that technical trail to the ridge, and I was like, this is awesome for the Northeast. This is dope. So yeah, there's good stuff out there. Yeah. All right, let's talk more OCC and CCC. I got to ask you this. What was the reason? Because you're such a good 50K runner, like not just the best we have in the United States, but like one of the best in the world. What made you choose CCC over OCC?
Mainly just that like I wanted a new challenge. So I thought that like I knew I could on a good day have a great result in OCC, but the like the 100K CCC just seemed like a bigger, newer challenge. And yeah, I was excited to because it had been since 2022 was the last time I tried a 100K, and it went pretty well, but I was also like a little bit crushed and got kind of injured coming off of it. And yeah, I just wanted to structure my whole season around CCC as it felt like a little more prestigious as a race than OCC. And yeah, it definitely like it scared me to be going up in distance and against like such an international like deep field that yeah, it just was the thing that captured my imagination and yeah, had me motivated to put a whole summer towards training for it.
Let's talk about the competition. Obviously, it's no secret. Like you and Eli have had like it's been really fun since JFK last year to see you guys kind of go at it in this like really fun best of the best. Who's the best American 50 mile to 50K athlete? It's been really cool. What was it like being not just teammates with him on Team USA this year, but also like competing with him back and forth? It seems like he gets the best of you sometimes, you get the best of him sometimes. It's very close. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely like one of those things where I think we've both been like, oh man, we keep choosing the same races just for like totally independent reasons. But yeah, I've been trying to like it can be like, oh man, Eli's there again and he beat me. Like it would have been like broken arrows, like, oh, could have been a big win if Eli hadn't showed up. But it's fun to be pushing each other, and yeah, he's a great guy. So it was really fun to like at Worlds to be on the same team as him. Unfortunately, we didn't like he was just gone, so I never saw him out on course the whole day. But yeah, it's been a fun little back and forth between him. So I don't know when we'll meet next, but
I don't want to call it a rivalry, but it's like one of the coolest American rivalries in short trail that like, or like, I guess ultra now that we kind of have. It's kind of neat. I don't know. It's fun to follow you too. Like I said, especially since JFK, like it's always so close. Let's talk. All right, let's get into the race proper, starting in Courmayeur. I think I heard on another podcast, and maybe you can tell a little bit more to this, just because I know it's always a circus at these races. So I guess you stayed over in Courmayeur before the race. Is that correct? And for the start, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I spent 2 weeks in like Chamonix before the race getting ready, and I previewed all like the entire course and a few of the key parts that I was concerned about like 2 to 3 times. So it was really good to spend that time over there, be like totally adjusted to the climate and the time change. And then just to avoid the zoo, we went over and stayed in a hotel the night before in Courmayeur, which was like, man, wake up. And I think I left the hotel at like 8:20 in the morning for a 9 o'clock start. It was a 2-minute walk. So that was pretty great in terms of like logistics and just like ease of getting over there.
What did you think of the zoo? Like the media hype, the media circus before? Like, did you have a lot of like, did Kraft have you doing stuff that you had to do, like to meet fans and stuff like that? Or was it pretty low key for you?
I think we were a little more low key as a brand. Like we weren't doing a lot of like group runs and stuff, but like I'm definitely not like super social and don't love like putting myself out there. So I like to like when I'm there to race, I'm there to race, and honestly, like the more under the radar I can be, like it's just easier for my personality. So being there with craft and like, going out to do some photo shoots and some filming and interviews, I definitely like was not like having a ton of that kind of stuff, but it definitely was like different being at such a big race and being there with the whole craft team. But yeah, it was awesome because they brought up physio and they were, just like, yeah, taking care of me. But also like the flip side is definitely when you're being treated so well and like you definitely feel the pressure a little bit. So it was my like first like really big like race since being sponsored by Kraft, and I definitely like was ready for the race to start. Just like, I was nervous. Like you've been pouring your soul into training for this race for like the last 3 months and had some ups and downs, but you're like, that like, okay, on the right day, you can definitely deliver a podium, but you want to do it. You're putting that pressure on yourself. So I was quite ready to, just get the gun to go off and start running like that whole last week while I was just like tapering and kind of waiting.
Yeah, I'm sure, dude. I couldn't imagine just like it's the long wait. And by the way, it's so much fun following that race on like with the live stream and stuff like that. Like I think UTMB does an amazing job, especially on like for CCC. What is that? It's that first 4,500-foot climb or whatever it is coming out of Courmayeur, and just watching you guys bury yourselves. Like it's pretty cool to follow along. I know you said there was some nerves at the start line, but damn, those races go off so fast. Like obviously it's not your first time racing in Europe. You've raced in Europe a bunch, but like, was it faster than normal? Was it within range? Like, how did you establish position? Like, what were all the things going off in maybe the first few miles for you?
Yeah, definitely. It started fast, and like it just when it's going to be a 10+ hour race, so you're definitely like have to just like if you feel good, you just kind of go with the flow, and you're like you know that it's not necessarily an effort that you're gonna be able to sustain the whole way. But I was hoping to be a little smarter and maybe like let the leaders get further ahead and just kind of run my own race. But in the heat of the moment, I was feeling like really good with adrenaline and everything, and it just kind of like I knew I was working hard, but it just felt good. So I ended up staying up in the top 10 and kind of worked my way up to the lead group by the top of that climb. And then just, yeah, was just kind of enjoying it. So, it was really fun running in like the lead pack for the first 5 hours with, yeah, Eli and Francesco and Drew. And we were definitely just like feeling good, rolling along. And then awesome, like it started to get hot, after, like 40K or whatever. And there's like 20K of mostly downhill before you do the climb up to Chamonix Lock. And we were all of a sudden, I think like we were moving pretty well. And especially like Francesco was pushing the pace because he's such a good on that, like the road sections and the gradual down. And the rest of us were getting a little uncomfortable. But at that point, like I've been running near the lead pack for 4 hours. You're not just going to like let anyone go at that point. And then we finally started the climb and my legs felt great climbing up the Chamonix Lock. So it was awesome. I was in the lead and was like, wow, I have a chance to maybe win this thing. But yeah, Francesco like just blew that aid station and got a little bit of lead on me. And I was like, oh, I'll just keep running my race and he'll come back on the next climb. But he never came back, and it started to get like 5.5 hours, and it went from feeling like hard but really good to all of a sudden being like, oh, I'm tired, my legs hurt, my feet hurt. I still have so far to go. Did I make a huge mistake going out this hard? But you just had to like keep pushing. And like as you said, it was incredible because I think it was an advantage being in the lead because it meant you got a lot of like the camera runners and the bikers following you. So like I'd be going through a rough patch and being like, uh-oh, like Francesco's now like 5-6 minutes up on me all of a sudden, and I'm sure guys are behind me closing hard. But then, the camera runner would be behind you and he's like, giving you like, oh, you still got 6 minutes on third place and you look good, reminding you to like keep taking your gels, all those little things. So like definitely like you'd have rough patches and just having, fans and camera runners and all that stuff, like fake it till you make it. If you got the camera on you, then probably there are people watching. So you try to look a little bit better, run a little bit faster, and then next thing you know, you're actually feeling better. But yeah, that the whole experience was just, incredible. And I was digging really deep, kind of like getting dizzy and everything was hurting. I was on the verge of cramping up, and yeah, I didn't know if I was going to be able to hold on to the podium until like literally when I got into Chamonix.
That's so crazy. How did it feel running for 10 hours, dude? Like, that's a really long time. It's not a short period of time. Like, did it go by fast for you? Did you pop in music or were you just like in your own head the whole time?
Yeah, I was just in my own head the whole time, and like it sounds longer in retrospect than it felt out there because you're so engaged
Yeah.
the whole time about, with the variety of the course, you're thinking about like, is this the right pace for the climb? Or, trying to remember your fueling strategy and, am I drinking enough? Am I having enough gels? All those kind of things. And then like, navigating the downhills carefully. I felt like you just kind of chunk it up into sections and yeah, definitely it didn't like thinking back, it was really long, but at the time I was never like, oh my gosh, I've been running so long. It's more just like the fear of when you're getting tired, like 6, 7 hours in, you're like, wait, I still have like over a marathon to go.
Oh, thinking about that sounds
Like
terrible.
I tried to not, yeah, not think about that. Just knowing the course is really helpful because I could just like chunk it up. Okay, I know what this next climb is like, and then you reset and you're like, okay, this next downhill is this techie bit, or there's a little flatter section where I'm going to try to like, open up the stride a little bit. Yeah, so
Wow.
it definitely was a long time, but yeah, by like those little mental tricks just to keep yourself engaged and keep yourself pushing, I think are the way to get through it. But it never felt like, oh my gosh, like I've been running for so long.
Well, I wonder too, like, and maybe you can provide some more commentary to this. Like when Francesco kind of broke the race open and got a little ahead of you, especially, it's probably, I don't know. Obviously, you're worried about getting caught, but at the same time, you're still in pursuit, trying to catch him, I would imagine. Like, still in that grind of, all right, if he's 5 or 6 minutes, how do I close this? Was it more, how do I close, or was it more, how do I hold on when you were kind of in those positions?
I think for like yeah, the maybe like until uh tr was it Triant, I think?
Triat, yeah.
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 Then there's the big climb there. I think like the like I've been trying to keep myself like mentally in there. I knew like I was using the poles and Francesco was just running. And I was like, well, eventually I think it's going to catch up to him. Like he's such a good runner, but like especially a few of those late climbs like out of Trend are just so steep that I was, banking that if I just keep running smart, sticking to my fueling plan and just like, keep believing in myself, there's a chance that he comes back. And then I think like leaving Triant, I'd done that super steep climb in training and I was like, oh, if I could just like feel like I did on that training day, like I could put down like a really good time, close a big gap. But instead like you were just so much more tired than you think, so like the entire last 30 plus k like I was going much slower than even my like easy training run on the course, and you're just like, oh, I'm like I'm working hard, I'm so tired, but I just like there's nothing left, you can't even get your heart rate up. So it went from like I got splits that I was like 10 plus minutes back, and I definitely just switched to like, okay, no, don't need any heroics, but just like keep it together, don't totally implode. So yeah, I think around Triant I switched to survival mode, try to hold on to second or at least the podium, and kind of because we dropped Drew just before like the Champex lock on that climb. So I knew he was still like in the hunt, but it wasn't like him specifically. I wasn't getting good splits. I think there was like the French guy who ended up fourth. I think people were saying he was closing really hard. So he
Yeah.
was kind of the guy that had heard the most about. And then yeah, I looked back. It started raining. It was like kind of cold getting up to La Flagère. And it was actually like a little like that was maybe one of the hard parts just because I think everyone's hanging out in Chamonix for the finish. So there were just like almost no fans. I remember like one group of people that were like blaring music, like something like Born in the USA, and that got me going. But the rest of that climb was pretty lonely. And I'd been having all these random splits, like someone would say, you still got 10 minutes, and then you would hear like it's only 7, they're closing really hard. So you're just trying to like keep it together. But I got up to La Flagère, looked back, and it's kind of open because it's at the top of the ski area, and I couldn't see anyone. So then I was like, well, I must have like at least 4 minutes to third place. And so from there, I just switched. Okay, like I got to get down. The top half of that like descent from La Flagère is really rooty and technical. It was getting dark with the rain, like just kind of slippery, and yeah, like my coordination had totally gone. So it was like, okay, I can't go slow down this, but I also can't like completely trip and like eat it hard because then I'll be limping all the way in, or might not even finish. So that first 2 miles of the descent were so tough. Like every step, I think I kept kicking roots and things, and yeah, my feet were hurting. And then it finally opened up, and there were a few fans out there telling me like Drew's closing really hard, like you you can't cruise it in. So I booked it back down. I think my watch was telling me I was doing like under 5 minute miles again on that like last
Jeez.
mile descent. Just like you've been battling for 10 hours and you're like, you don't want to like, if if it comes down to 5 seconds, you don't want to have any regrets. But yeah, I got the last kilometer in Chamonix was just like totally lined, like the most incredible experience, like having that many fans out. It was pretty surreal. But yeah, like I had to keep running hard like until the last 300 meters because I didn't know how much of a gap I had.
That's crazy. It's so crazy to think too, in a 62 mile or whatever race, like it's wire to wire in a lot of ways. Like you're racing start to finish, which is kind of crazy to think too.
Yeah, and I definitely like I needed just about everything I had. I think like I felt like I closed and finished out pretty strong, but Drew was just flying, and I think he'd come from like 10 minutes back to about 2 at the finish. So another mile or two, and I probably would have been passed. And then like the women's race was even crazier with how close
Yeah.
it was. That was like I didn't really get to see any of that play out, but just yeah, looking at the recaps, like to have 4 women kind of like within seconds and minutes of each other the entire way going back and forth. It's just yeah, it's really cool how close some of these races have been that you don't necessarily know until the very end what's going to happen.
Yeah, the level is just so crazy. And the women's race, yeah, dude, like that descent off of La Frigere you were describing, dude, passes back and forth. And it was, I mean, it's crazy too, because like, yeah, you're finishing in Chamonix and there's thousands of people out there screaming you on. But to think about like all of the people too, like watching the live stream cheering you on, like there had to have been multiple thousands, which is kind of crazy too. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's become such an event.
Yeah, it was kind of like I think I looked at the live stream like 'cause they had the replay up and it says like 250,000 people tune in. I was like, whoa, I don't think I've ever seen a trail race that had 250,000 people tune in. So that was pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I was like kind of regretting like, oh, maybe I would have done better to like hang back more at the start and try to like run a smart race and be closing super hard. But in retrospect, like I think it played out really well because I was like right up front and it made the race exciting. I got a lot of coverage by being in that lead pack. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's just like it's a pretty fine line between like running a smart race versus like just going for broke and trying to hold on. I think like putting yourself up there and being in the front pack, like it may not be the smartest strategy from like a physiological standpoint, but on the mental side to like be near the front and mixing it up is kind of huge for being able to dig deep and get the most out of yourself.
It's amazing. Yeah, like I said, it was so much fun to follow. What were the emotions like crossing the finish line? Like, I mean, obviously throughout the race, you're going through every emotion imaginable, probably. So when you finish, like, what went through your head? Like, I need a big nap, or I'm hungry. Like, what were you thinking?
Yeah, mostly just relief, honestly. Like it just felt so grateful and accomplished because like I definitely had set this out and like put myself out there for the whole running season that I this was my A goal. And yeah, like the plan this summer, like I talked about, like it hadn't really gone like exactly how I wanted to, but I knew I got to the start line fit. And but anything can happen. Like, all it takes is one bad step. You twist your ankle or take a fall or like your stomach's a little off and nutrition isn't going down. And, all those months of work and like honestly, like years of work, right? Like don't necessarily like pan out. So I was just, yeah, super, super relieved to have like worked so hard and actually like so grateful to get the result. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Just like, yeah, the scene with the fans, and I was exhausted. So I started drinking water and Coke right away because I had to go go to the drug testing. And then I think it took like 2 hours by the time like the us like top 3 guys had gotten through drug testing. So it was like 11 o'clock when I got home, and I just was so tired. Like I think it was like the longest day. Like I've never had a race that like you start like first thing in the morning and then like it's dark out and like nighttime but you're done. So you're just like, you're pretty empty. So I just went home and yeah, definitely like the caffeine and the adrenaline, it was like hard to sleep, but I was just so exhausted. So I didn't do anything after the race besides wait 2 hours to pee in a cup and then go home.
So no hanging out in the French clubs, going wild. All right.
No, unfortunately.
Is it a little weird after the fact? Like we talked about in the live stream, like now 250,000+ people know who David Sinclair is. What is that like when you're walking around the streets of Sham? Are like people saying, like, trying to take photos with you? Are they trying to like introduce themselves to you? Like after the race, is that a little strange?
Oh, I think it's not that big of a deal. Like maybe a few niche people like recognize me because they're like big fans of ultra running, but it's not been that different. It was fun to like go to the award ceremony the next day, and I got to give a few like autographs and take pictures with some like the young kids. So that's really fun, and like to think that like, oh, they think I'm cool and are like inspired by what I'm doing. But in terms of like day to day, I can, you know, no one really knows who I am unless they're like a fan of ultra running.
It's cool. It's definitely cool. Let's pivot back to the race really quick. One of the things I didn't ask you was about nutrition. Like, what was the nutrition plan for you, and like, what were you kind of like eating the whole time?
I just tried to do like mostly gels. I did like some scratch in the flask at first for like electrolytes, and then the plan was to do like one of the science and sport like gels every 30 minutes for as long as I could. And yeah, it worked pretty well. I kind of stayed on that for the first like 5, 6 hours, and then you just get like flavor fatigue of things. So like as I got more and more tired, like I would look at the watch and be like, okay, it's time for a gel. But you know, like I'd choke down half a gel and be like, ooh, like I don't know if I really want this. But then like 10 minutes later, you'd be like, wait, maybe I do feel a little bit better. So even though like at the time, like you're just forcing yourself to keep getting like these gel and liquid carbs down. And like it makes you think you're gonna puke for a second, but like as soon as you stop fueling, like the energy just goes down and it never comes back up. So like the whole summer I was just been working on like trying to get up to or just like you know 80 100 grams of carbs an hour in my long runs, and I was able to stick to that for like the first 7 hours of the race, and then I think I kind of let the fueling go a little bit just because like you're tired, you're not thinking clearly, and like it just isn't fun anymore to keep pounding those gels. But yes, I added a little bit of caffeine. I'd do like Coca-Cola at the aid stations, and then the main like thing that had me a little worried was I should do my first sweat test like
I was just about to ask you that.
the
Okay.
day before the race, and I've never had issues with cramping, and like I don't get like tons of sweat stains or anything, so I wasn't too worried about being like one of these extremely salty sweaters. But the sweat test result came back that I was like like on the sweaty like saltier side of normal, and I was like, oh, maybe my plan doesn't have enough electrolytes in it. So I tried to like up my like electrolyte intake a little bit, like tweaking last minute the nutrition plan. And then of course like during the race I just like I was doing like the electrolytes in my liquid, but water was just tasting way way better. So I kind of left all my sports drink flask and just switched to drinking water for the last few hours of the race, and it you know was a lot easier to get like water down than sweet tasting liquid.
Interesting. So you said something along the lines of like having some cramp issues as well. Do you think that was like related to any hydration stuff, like more like staying off the electrolytes? Or the reason I ask is like this is something I'm super fascinated with. I just did my first sweat test as well and found out I'm an extremely salty sweater, and so it's an interesting aspect of it, which is cool.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting, and it's cool to see like that people are really like paying more attention to it. And I think you just got to figure out what works for you. Like if you don't want to lose like sleep over like not believing in your nutrition plan. So like you got to do what you have available, but definitely like looking forward to Western States. It's one of the things I think there's still room for improvement, especially like in an even longer and hotter race where like the line between like upsetting your stomach with too much fuel or too much like electrolytes in the drinks, and also like cramps or like completely cratering the race because you're not fueling and hydrating properly can totally like can turn into hours, or like can cause a potential podium to be a DNF. It's something I'm gonna start working on. So like have plans to at least like start a sweat log and do a few more sweat tests, and yeah, start monitoring my sweat rate so that I know I'm staying hydrated. I, I think I would like to try doing like electrolyte tabs maybe in the future,
Very good.
just because like if you get sick of like whatever drink you have that has electrolytes in it and you just want water, then you can at least like choke down the electrolyte tabs and you don't have to worry about like the flavor or the sweetness that comes with a sports drink. So I think the more you can maybe like compartmentalize, like I like gels because like you just know exactly how many carbs are in a packet, and you can just be like, okay, like the watch beeped, it's been 30 minutes. I'm just gonna chug this gel. And then you can have just like your water separate, and you're just trying to like, drink to thirst or like stay on a whatever, like try to replenish what you're sweating out. And then same thing, like just do electrolyte tabs or something, or caffeine tabs if you're trying to add caffeine. So like you can have everything be independent. Might be I haven't done this in the past, but I think that's like after doing like this race and being like, oh, I got sick of the taste of the sports drink, but I still knew I needed electrolytes. So it would give you more flexibility to just like, yeah, have everything separated out.
Yeah. I almost feel like, dude, I mean, it's hard to say because like obviously CCC is a completely different race. But if it's a hot day, it's only 4 more hours longer than CCC is something like a Western States. If you're running in that, where you would expect
maybe
yeah,
4 if it goes great.
Hopefully,
that would be nice.
But which is crazy too to think about. It's like holy shit, that's like a whole other 38 more miles or whatever. But anyway, it's it's interesting. But I don't know. I think it's almost easier because there's so many more crew point accesses as well to be able to you don't have to really wear a pack. Like you could just wear handhelds, you can wear a belt. I feel like Western States is almost an easier thing to be a gamer for, whereas like CCC I feel like can be a bit more complicated.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I see like both sides and like the flexibility at Western States, like there's no mandatory like equipment and you have so many options. It gives you more flexibility, and I think like it was definitely in some ways nice with CC because you're like, well, like you need a pack because you've got all this mandatory gear and you have to go, like 5.5 hours so you get to the first crew point. So like definitely it felt like a lot at the start because I was like, okay, I knew I wanted to do gels, but it's like then I'm like, counting out and making the plan. I'm like, okay, I need to carry 12 gels, and it's like, where am I going to put them all? But yeah, so
it's true.
There are pros and cons of either system, but definitely like the heat is what I'm definitely most worried about, and why I think like I need to be even more focused on like the nutrition and the hydration, because it's just like I think that the heat of Western States, if you allow your like electrolyte imbalance or yourself to get too dehydrated, you're just the extra 4 hours plus the heat means it's an even bigger factor than it is at CCC.
Yeah. It's interesting. I feel like, for a race like that, you definitely have to be a gamer in the sense of like, you got to be dialed in with your stuff. Did you watch any of the David Roche stuff? He like put up a bunch of like, he was pretty good with sharing a lot of his, like the heat training and stuff like he was doing in Boulder. And some of it was actually like really groundbreaking stuff. It was like, this is different and interesting. So there's definitely stuff out there that I think like others have done to like help and share some of it. But I don't know. You also got to find what works for you.
I think there's probably two sides to it, and I think like a lot of people go maybe even over the board now with the heat training, and it's like if you like the science says if you get like three, you get a lot of adaptations just doing like 30-minute sauna sessions, a week. So I think I'll do some targeted heat training, but I just haven't done a lot of hot races, so rather than like spending tons of hours in a heat suit or like going to the desert and training in 100-degree weather all the time, I think just like keep the heat training in there. So I already do some sauna training, so I'll definitely keep doing that. But then just like actually practicing the heat mitigation strategies are like where you want to be spending your energy. So like figuring out like, is it better to like have some slushy type stuff at aid station, like actually ingest the ice, or do you want to wear the vest and the ice bandana and just load that down, or do you just want to like be jumping in like ice water, like little kiddie pools? And like I think the main thing is like once you start to feel overheated, you're gonna like have a rough patch at Western States. So everyone that I've talked to that says like they thought it went well and like the heat wasn't a big issue, they say that they were like just taking on ice at every aid station, not even like just the ones that have crew access, they were taking the extra 30 seconds to like take some more ice on board. And they said they had so much ice and cold water on them all day that they never actually felt hot out there. So
That's the way to do it.
that's
Yeah.
I tend to get really hot, and like I used to just think that like, oh, like I'm not good in heat. And then like by embracing a little bit of like doing the sauna training and just like trying to change my mindset around it, I found that I can do pretty well even in like somewhat hot races. It's just I've never tried to race, as long in extreme heat. Like I think it's different for like a Jim Walms who grew up in like Phoenix and right, like, oh, like the heat's no big deal. But I grew up in Vermont, so where like, oh, it's 76 degrees out. Like it's a hot one. It's gonna be tough.
Dude, you gotta wear well, actually, I gotta ask you, what was it like racing in that Nike ACG shirt? I was gonna say you gotta just like take the USA part off of it and just put craft on it and just rock one of those things.
Yeah, they were kind of fun, just more of just like they gave us those the day before the race, and we were talking as a team. We're like, oh, we're kind of excited to try these out. So we decided we were all gonna wear them. And I think it maybe does actually work a little bit. Like we put them on in the hotel room and like there's a little breeze. We're like, oh, I feel kind of cold. And then so we were actually worried, like we thought they were stylish, but
Very
it was like 37 degrees at the start. So we were actually like, are we gonna be too cold in these things? And I had like my arm warmers on underneath it and like a hat on at the start of the race. And then like it was only 40 degrees out, but 10 minutes in the race, I was like super hot already. So I took off the hat and the arm warmers, and yeah, I didn't notice it working as much like during the race as like in the hotel room, but like I didn't overheat out there, but it wasn't a particularly hot day. So they look absolutely ridiculous. I think we all got a lot of cheers for wearing them.
Oh, it's a fashion statement. I don't know what to think of it. I'm not sure yet, but it's definitely unique and different. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was like, we were like joking about should I put it up on eBay and see if someone will pay $1,000 for one of these things because I can't ever wear it again. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, if there's a shirt to frame for like a Team USA, that's probably it. But
yeah, I think I probably want to keep it.
Yeah. It's dope. Like I said, I don't think anybody can get them yet, and other than like Team USA and then the ACG athletes. So there's definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll release them probably by next year. But yeah, they're pretty funny. And it's like, I guess like you've seen people do the whole like holes in shirts for a while, but I think I think we'll probably see more companies coming out with like, at least like cooling type shirts, even if they don't do it like exactly the same way.
Yeah. On the topic of that, craft, how has it been like working with them now? Like, do you have to, I don't know, as much as you can answer this, like from shoe testing and stuff like that, are you getting involved with that, or is it, more hands off with that? Like how has it been so far working with them?
Yeah, I probably can't talk too much about details, but it's been awesome. So I raced in like their prototype, like carbon plated gravel trail racer, and the shoe was like absolutely incredible, and it's just the first version. So it was really fun, like sitting down with the shoe developers after CCC and like telling them what I liked about it, hearing their ideas, what they're going to try in the next version. And like, yeah, it's pretty fun being with Craft. They're like, they're like one of the smaller shoe companies, I would say. So as one of the athletes, it's really fun that you can like actually be like heavily involved and give them feedback. And I can tell them I would like to see this, and this. And they're like, okay, we've got all these ideas. Well, we're going to send you some more shoes and you can tell us what you like and what you don't like. So yeah, it's been really great working with them.
So cool, man. It's a great company. I mean, I got to say, like, one of the things I really appreciated and liked was like, especially David Laney's involvement, not just as an athlete, and how after, as he, I don't know, ages in the sport, and he maybe at some point in time when he steps away from being an athlete, there's a job waiting for him to kind of be involved with the company, which is something I really like. I see them do Sportiva did that with Anton as well. I kind of like that there's a path after you're done being an athlete to kind of move on and do other things internally, which I think is kind of neat.
Yeah, it's been cool because with David Lane, they've been keeping him on there, and like with Tim Tollefson, kind of maybe going more towards the race director role, and they're keeping him on. So yeah, they're a great company. Part of why I signed was like when I was a skier growing up, like the one article of clothing you just had to have in Vermont was the Craft wind briefs, so you don't freeze when you're wearing like a spandex race ski suit. And so like they make good gear. I still have like from when I was like 13, 14, starting out ski racing, like my craft windbrief underwear. They're still totally functional. So like, they do a good job designing their clothes and yeah, make good durable gear.
Super cool. Yeah, they make good stuff, man. And I'm excited for what the future is, especially with like some of the shoe tech. And dude, what the brands are coming out with these days, man. There's all kinds of like the shoes have evolved like crazy. It's nuts.
Yeah, I think I don't know, I was skeptical at first, and I'd like until about a year ago, like signing with Craft, I'd never like run in a like any kind of like whatever super shoe, carbon plated anything. And I was pretty skeptical like that they would really work that well on the trails, and especially for like the more runnable like CCC type courses, Western states where it's not super technical. So you're not like the main thing that makes me nervous is like if you have too much foam and too much stack height, it's just like I'll twist my ankle. But
Yeah.
like so some of these shoes are just they run so well, and they just like they definitely pay off in the long run, like cushioning your legs and just keep you moving when your legs get tired. So it's
Stability.
it's a fun time right now. Like the shoes are better than they've ever been and only getting better.
So cool. Dude, one last thing I want to get to off of Craft. I want to move on to one thing that you did, this boot spur VK that I heard talking about out on Run the Whites. I know you get out and do a lot of like local stuff in Mount Washington, but just maybe talk about that route because I don't know. I'm just very inspired by a lot of these like Northeast VK routes and stuff like that as of late.
Yeah, no, it's just like one of those things where I really like Ski the Whites. They hooked me up with like skis and stuff, and they like I think it's maybe the second year they do like every month throughout the summer and into the fall they'll do a different like Strava segment challenge. So yeah, I've been wanting to get over to run Mount Washington again. So they had this VK segment up Boot Spur, which is like most of the way up to the top of Mount Washington. And it's just like super steep. It's like it ended up being 2.5 miles and almost exactly a vertical kilometer, but it's just like rooty and rocky and like totally gnarly. So I got to go over there a couple weeks ago and do it as like one of my final tune-up workouts before heading to Worlds. And yeah, it's a legit like super steep, super hard VK. And I think like a few hundred people went out and did their challenge. So like it's like a course where you probably couldn't host a real race on, but for like a time trial VK thing, it's just it's so fun to get the community out there. So it was fun to be a part of that.
Yeah, dude, I love the stuff they're doing. The Run the Whites 100 or no, what is it? The White Mountains.
Yeah, they did the White Mountain 100,
Yeah,
which is like like would be the hardest 100 miler like possible.
Easily.
You can't hold a race on it. So people have been going for FKTs for a few years, and they did like a whole supported thing so a bunch of people could go for it at the same time. And yeah, they put on cool events.
So cool. One last question, really, too, I wanted to ask you about CCC. I know you were trying to like. There's some stuff where you had to been hands off and not get too crazy in your mileage build up. And obviously, I lurked your Strava, but like, what like were you doing a ton of like threshold work, like just a ton of volume? Like, what did your weeks look like in the build up?
Yeah, I kept just week to week. I kind of kept it pretty consistent. I came off a big winter racing skiing, and I already felt like pretty fit. I had to take a little break when the tendonitis kind of flared up, and then pretty quickly I realized that I could run like uphill a little bit without flaring it up. So I was doing a lot on the treadmill, and that's why I did like the Mount Washington road race and went out to Broken Arrow, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the ascent, and then maybe I'll start the 46K, and if it like my knee hurts on the downhill, I'll just drop out. So I was doing like the first half of summer I was just riding my road bike and doing uphill running mostly. And then by like July it was going well enough that I started doing a little bit more like up down, adding more vert. And but I think I kept it pretty steady at around like 20 hours of aerobic work, like kind of throughout the whole summer. And I come from like the cross country skiing background, so yeah, generally like you structure like kind of like 2 hard workouts a week, and then everything else is mostly like easier aerobic volume. And then I got in the gym, so I started like a lot of threshold, like 5-6 minutes uphill on the treadmill, or like 10 minutes like on a trail going uphill. And then the last month I tried, as the knee got better, I just slowly started doing more running and a little bit less on the bike, but I didn't go like to all running until maybe like the last 2 weeks when I got over to Chamonix was like the first time the whole summer I felt like I could actually run like day in and day out and not have it flare up the knee. And so I think like my biggest week was probably like right around 100 miles of running, but with 20 something thousand feet of vertical, like checking out the course. And that kind of seems to be like the sweet spot for me. If I try to do much more than that, I think I'm just like, I start to get really tired and like the recovery goes out the window. So like I coach myself and, like, you never know how it's going to go, but I try to just like be really responsive. Like the basic principles are the same. And, you're just trying to like keep the aerobic base really high. And then like for something like CCC, you got to make sure the legs are durable enough to like keep going up and down and like still moving. Cause like as we saw in the race, it was like my first time, I think, getting like good data from 100K where I was running pretty close to like threshold. Like my heart rate went over 180 beats a minute a couple of times on that first like hour plus climb. And even on like the second climb to the high point and the climb to Chamonix Lock, like my heart rate was the whole time climbing and like in the 170 beats. And then like as I got tired, if you look at the data, like my heart rate's just going slowly down and down as you fatigue, you can't keep up the effort anymore. So like you gotta to definitely at the up to 100K, like you gotta be really fit. So I think you need a high uphill running threshold to be able to stay with a lead pack on those climbs. And then the trick is like, okay, to like, be able to do that and then not like fade super, super hard. So yeah, definitely like I respond well to threshold training and like you can do a lot more threshold training than you can, like even harder intervals. So I try to get a good volume of threshold for like my 2 hard workouts a week. But as I got close, like I was doing this once a week workout at Mount Ellen ski area. And so I was kind of trying to go like, okay, like maybe like optimistic 100K pace, like we're like 100K pace for the early climbs when I would go up and it's like a 3-mile climb with like 2,500 feet of vert. And then I'd run back down and be like, okay, that was hard. Can I do it again? And then like, okay, come back the next week. I did it twice last week. Can I do it 3 times? Can I do it 4 times? And so like my hardest workout was, I think, like a 5-hour run with 10,000 vert over 25 miles.
Damn.
Just lapping the ski area.
If you don't mind me asking, what is your threshold heart rate? I'm just so curious.
Oh, it's a good question, but it really like it varies day to day. So like when I'm super fresh, like on the start line, it's probably like, it's up around like 180 beats a minute. Like okay. I just ran, I did a half marathon yesterday on the road. So like, that's a pretty good test. And I think I averaged like, low 180s, but sometimes when you're like, caffeine, adrenaline, you're feeling really good, I can definitely like for up to an hour can probably on a good day, like a whole, like, mid to even upper 180s.
Oh shit, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I think like if you look at like I don't always wear the heart rate monitor. I've been wearing it a lot more lately. When I was younger, I used to be able to like, I did like a threshold lactate test and they're like, okay, your threshold's 195 beats a minute. And now it's like, it's definitely more in like the 180s now. And like if I'm a little fatigued, even like 180 can feel really hard. So it changes from day to day, but.
Interesting. Do you test anymore at all? Like lactate testing or no?
I don't know. I have a lactate tester. I don't use it a whole lot. Like it's cost like $3 a strip. But I would like to maybe sometime before the end of the year, like to do like a whole lactate profile again. But I don't know. We'll get around to it.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I bring it out every once in a while, just like just when I'm getting heart rate data and especially like running on the track or something to like just check.
Is it one of those things for you? Like, do you like you don't really need a coach, do you? Like, do you think you'll ever get one, or is it if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of thing? Like, how do you view that?
I mean, I think I like the challenge of like being my own coach and running. I think that like looking towards Western states, I am a little bit interested in not necessarily like a coach to write my training, but someone to like consult on and help a little bit with like dialing the nutrition and dialing the heat mitigation and like a few of those things. They wouldn't necessarily like be writing my like workouts day to day, but they'd be like, you should do this long run, but you should do X, Y, Z to like really dial in your nutrition or your heat mitigation, like those kind of extra things. But yeah, I don't think, to me, it wouldn't be fun anymore for me if I like had a call with a coach once a week, or was getting an email being like, here are your workouts. I really like having the flexibility to be like, okay, well, like I'm just feeling terrible today, so I'm gonna actually like, rewrite the plan. And so I'm always kind of thinking like, this is my week of training, like these are like what the two kind of key workouts I want to get done. And then this is like what I would like to see for like total volume. But then like he'd be like, okay, like, well, I'm feeling motivated. I want to go do like my intervals flatter running today, or like I just need a day in the mountains. So I'm gonna go, go do a boot spur VK or whatever it is. Like you're getting the same, like you're trying to get the right physiological stimulus, but mix it up and keep it fun. And I think with a coach telling me exactly what to do, it wouldn't be as much fun. So maybe like in terms of like the physiology or like ideal training, I could be, 1 or 2% better by like really being scientific about like what the workouts are and everything. But I think I would lose more because it would just suck the fun out of it for me.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I don't know. I like taking folks' perspectives on it. I just find it, it's interesting stuff. All right, one last question I have for you. Now that you are a professional, how do you view it? Do you view this thing as like a career? Do you view it as like, I'm just going to do this for a few years? Like how long do you want to do this for? And like, how do you view it?
Oh, it's I don't think I would view it as a career right now. Like I'm fortunate enough to be like, I'm not making that much money. Like if it keeps going well, I could maybe like, start earning enough to like, which is cool because when I started trail running, it was definitely just a hobby. And, like maybe like Killian or a couple people were like, actually making money at it. But now it's like actually awesome possible to, at least like make a living if you're having good results as a trail runner. So that's really awesome. But I'm definitely not like, it's not necessarily like a career thing, because you never know when you're going to have a bad injury, or like I could decide in a year, okay, like I've done everything I want to do, or it's not fun. I don't have the motivation anymore. So I'd like, I'm just really like glad to have the like the good fortune and to be lucky enough that I don't need to like have a job on the side, so I can be all in on running for a little bit. And hopefully I'm still motivated and running professionally in 5, or you see some of these guys are so inspiring. They're like having world-class results in their like mid and late 40s. But I don't know. Some days I wake up and I already feel a little old. So who knows if I'll still be getting good results in 5-6 years. But it's really fun to right now to kind of treat it as a career, and it's been going well. So hopefully I can keep on having good results and make a little bit more of a career out of it.
It's so interesting to me because, like, dude, you've done so much in the sport. Like, you're easily a first ballot Hall of Famer. If we had a Hall of Fame, like, you would be in it easily. All right, one more question I do have to say. I do have to ask you this because it's very interesting to me, and then we'll end it on this. But, like, is it cool? Like, what does it mean to you to have such respect from your peers? Like, not like Eli. Like, I've heard Michelino give you so much respect. Like, so many, like, everybody. Like a lot of people view you as like the standard in American trail running right now. Like, what does that mean to you? Like on an ending note.
I mean, I like to think that I'm pretty down to earth and try to keep it modest. So like I think like the trail running community, especially like here in the US, is just like incredible. I haven't met any other like professional trail runners who just are not good people. So I just try to do my best to represent the US trail running community. And it's nice to hear that the other trail runners think highly of me. So it feels great. But
so cool. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate these talks. We got to do these once or twice a year as always. I really appreciate it. We'll have to do either one before or one after Western States next year. It'll be fun.
Cool. Yeah. Well, let me know and I'll make time to hop on. It's been fun to chat.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Awesome stuff. Want to thank David so much for coming on the podcast again. It's always fun having our annual conversations, and no doubt next year after Western States, we'll have some good stuff to chat about, and hopefully some good short trail stuff as well. We don't want to lose the guy to this ultra stuff. I don't know about that, but guys, the best way you can support David is to give him a follow on Instagram. You can find him at david.a.sinclair.92 on Instagram. It's also going to be linked in the show notes, so you can give him a follow there. Yeah, definitely a fun follow, and it's always fun to hear David's story and just kind of what he's been up to. Really appreciate him being candid and talking about some of the heart rate stuff, like just interesting, just what kind of, just he's such a beast of an athlete. So cool stuff there. So all good stuff for all of us to learn. Yeah, the best way you could support the podcast as well, give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube if you enjoy the podcast. And very last but not least, you can also support us by supporting our brand partner, Ultimate Direction. If you go ahead on check out ultimatedirection.com, if you pop on over to their website, you can find some of the new vests, the Race Vest 6 liter and the Ultra Vest 12 liter that just dropped. Also have a really nice new pole quiver that's out there, along with some Schlarb shorts. There's all kinds of good stuff on that website. Handhelds, and very last but not least, a whole myriad of belts, the comfort belt as well as the race belt, both awesome stuff. And yeah, if you use code SteepStuffPod, it's going to get you 25% off your cart at checkout. Again, that's one word, SteepStuffPod, for 25% off. Guys, thanks so much.